Hello, welcome to Walk in the Park. My name is Tony Ingram, and we have another show for you today on Channel 13, Ithaca's public access television station. And this is the May 10th, 2017. If you want to see all of my episodes, go to walkinthepark.tv, walkinthepark.tv. That's a website, and I put all my episodes up online so you can watch them anytime. You can also see the full schedule of cable casts here on Ithaca Public Access Channel 13. Okay, so we're going to go to Robert H. Treman State Park to start off with, and we'll probably go over to Watkins Glen State Park after that, and maybe a couple of others. But we're going to see what happened last Saturday on the 6th. I Love My Park Day. Now, this is an event that went on across the state in parks all over New York State, hosted by and organized, sponsored by New York State Parks and an organization called Parks and Trails New York. And they organize the volunteers and so forth. And the Friends of Robert H. Treman State Park were very instrumental in hosting this event as well. So look on the right, you can see some of the organizations that contributed particularly to the food for the event, but there were others as well. But we'll get to them in a minute here. So if you want to find out more about the Friends of Robert H. Treman State Park, you can go to tremanparkfriends.org, tremanparkfriends.org. I'm on the board. It's a great little organization, and we do a lot to help out the park and extend some of the services that it otherwise would not be able to provide. So this was about a third of the group that actually volunteers that gathered, that were organized. There were about 80 in all that gathered for at the shelter near the cabin area in the lower park on Saturday. And I'm just going to read what the park manager said. Thanks to all of our amazing volunteers for I Love My Park Day. This photo is only about a third of a group. It was the only moment when it wasn't pouring down rain. Our group of 80 or so brave and soaking wet helpers planted 25 trees, cleared an entire section of woodland of invasive barberry and garlic mustard, built a set of trail stairs, completed additional trail work on the Gorge Trail, Finger Lakes Trail, and Red Pine Trail, and cleaned the old mill in the upper park. Thanks to our local sponsors, Friends of Robert H. Treman State Park, Sherwin-Williams, Home Depot, and Mark's Pizzeria. So also the ones here that help provide food, Green Star, Buffalo Wild Wings, Wegmans, Walmart, McGuire Automobiles, and the Shortstop. So we had a great lunch there. So we'll just get right on to it here and show you a video highlighting some of the things and people that were at the park last weekend, getting things ready for you all and me to in the park for the season.
So everybody come back here for lunch at 12:30, and now we're going to figure out what we want to do for jobs. Planning an event like this is difficult because you never know who's going to show up. I was telling the staff this morning, you have to plan for twice the amount of people or half. And then, of course, you got to figure the weather too. So the jobs that we have today, we've got 20 trees or so out in the campground here. They're all placed where they need to go. We need probably, for that job, 10 people. And you'll need shovels and there's actually some topsoil over there and some mulch. And Bill, can you be okay working with that crew? Great. Last thing with the tree crew also, the trees not only need to be planted, but we have some wood chips to go around them, and then we have about 20 or so watering bags. Not for these new trees, because these trees are pretty small, we can hand water them, but for all of the new trees that we planted last year. And for you guys who were here last year, you'll probably remember which trees those were. We take the watering bags off in the winter and put them back on this time of year. anybody wants to stay out of the rain, we have a very important job up at the old mill, which is it's sort of one of the centerpieces of the park if you haven't visited it. It's a historic grist mill. It's been there since the late 1830s. This is the second mill on this site. The first one burned down. We need probably about 12 to 15 people to head up, and Cassie's going to be in charge of that mission. That's going to be basically some sweeping, some mopping, little Murphy's oil soap, general spring cleaning. If you haven't visited the mill before, it's a really cool building. It's got these huge wooden gears, and it's an old water-powered grain mill. 3 floors of interconnected machinery that pretty much could still work if we were able to divert water underneath the mill. The next job also involves driving up to the upper park, which is clearing leaves off of the Red Pine Trail. Red Pine Trail is currently closed to the public simply because it connects down to the Gorge Trail. The Gorge Trail is still closed until we can complete the scaling. So Josh and Tammy from our crew are going to be leading up that operation. They'll need probably about 10 or so with leaf rakes, and you're basically going to be walking down the Red Pine Trail, getting the wet leaves off, because next week our scaling team's going to be going down there. It's very steep, and they need to get down there with a gator, a 4-wheel drive ATV basically, and if they're on wet leaves, that's not going to be a safe operation for them. So this would be very much needed. Now I see some of my rim trail people from last year who went out and did the cleanup there. We'd love to have you go out and do the same again. Some of my horses people really like your help educating the folks here on garlic mustard, barberry, and any other invasives that we see around the campground here. And I can show you a couple spots I've got picked out already where we have those things. And if we can get the garlic mustard out, the barberry dug out or cut down.
Okay, I'm here with 2 Student Conservation Association, let's see, what does it say?
Excelsior Conservation Corps.
Excelsior Conservation Corps says, what's your name?
Marina Brown.
Marina Brown and
Patrick Monroe.
All right. So tell me about what you're doing today.
Well, we're out here with the SCA, the Student Conservation Association, and we are just removing invasive species for I Love My Parks Day.
Okay. So where are you located usually? You around here or?
Well, our home base is in Morrisville College actually, but we get like contracted and asked by different parks throughout all of New York. So then we go to different parks in New York and we do whatever they ask us to do. So like Watkins Glen, we were in Long Island before, and we'll be all over the state.
Oh, that must be kind of fun to get to a lot of different facilities. You get to see things that none of us don't. So
yeah. It's definitely cool seeing all the parks. Like growing up, I never really got out to the state parks, but it's cool that I get to volunteer at all of them.
So are you all going to college now?
Yep, we're both out of college. We are recent graduates.
Where'd you go to school?
I went to SUNY Oneonta. I got a degree in biology.
Cool.
Yeah.
And I went to Wells College and I got a degree in education and English.
Oh, right up the lake here. Yeah,
right up the lake.
Yeah, all right, good. Education and English, very good. All right, so where do you think you'll be going next?
I don't know. I'm looking into grad schools right now. I want to study ecology, something along the realm. I do want to travel a little bit afterwards, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is definitely inspiring me to do a lot more with parks and with like the natural resources, but I think I might head in the direction of wildland firefighting or use the education background and do some wilderness therapy programs.
Very cool. So this is helping you shape your future in ways.
Yeah.
At least it's definitely going to influence your future life in terms of your experience and what you have in your repertoire of memories and skills.
Exactly.
And so forth. Yeah.
Opening the horizons.
Yeah,
Great.
definitely.
Okay, well, thank you very much for coming and helping us here at Robert H. Treman State Park.
Thanks for having us.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Zach's also going to be working with 3 or 4 volunteers over at Cabin 7 to install some new steps. So if you want to learn how to do trail steps, that's great.
maybe a few roots over here. Also, got the saws.
Okay, I'm speaking with Zack, who is the Trails Coordinator for the Finger Lakes State Parks.
Correct.
You want to tell me what you do and what's going on here today?
Okay, so the bulk of what I do is repairing, maintaining, and constructing new trail and the existing trails throughout the region in the Finger Lakes. Primarily now I've been working at Buttermilk Falls State Park and Robert H. Treman State Park. Pretty extensive trail systems that see a lot of use by the public, so we're trying to get the trails in a little bit better shape than what they have been for the past few years. So, mainly it's working on interior trails, doing some construction of steps, erosion control, regrading trail areas to make the walking surface a little bit more uniform, and removing a lot of water in a lot of wet areas so people can hopefully make it through the gorges with dry shoes.
Okay, well, tell me about the crew you've got here today. I see some white helmets. I don't think that's the UN.
No. So these folks are members of the Student Conservation Association's Excelsior Corps. The Excelsior Corps is a relatively new conservation corps that was started by Governor Cuomo last year. And they work throughout the state, mostly for OPRHB, so for state parks. They also work in partnership with the DEC, doing conservation stewardship work. So these guys are helping us build some timber box steps behind this cabin here. And they'll be coming back later in the summer in June, August, and I believe November, so into the fall, to do some more work on the trails with us. And so they'll have crews of generally 7 to 8 people staying for about 10 days.
Wow, so they're going to move around the parks and do different trails in different parks and so forth. Yeah. Okay, so this is all part of the I Love My Park Day project today. So how many Student Conservation Association interns do you have working here today and all?
Today in total there are 8 doing various projects, and we have 2 folks here with us. And I believe there's a lot of other interns working statewide, but here in the Finger Lakes at Robert Treman we have 8 people. So big help.
So are they stationed here at Robert Treman pretty much, or?
They are based out of SUNY Morrisville between Syracuse and Ithaca, and they travel and stay in the parks where they work for 10-day periods, 7-day periods, depending on how long the project is. So these guys were actually just passing through, doing some work north of Watkins Glen for the DEC, and so they decided to stop by and give us a little help today. So it was very, very kind of them. Yeah, especially on a rainy day.
Yeah, that's great. I met 2 SCA interns doing the scaling in this park earlier in the week, so I talked to them.
Yeah, and there's another corps that is the New York State Parks Corps, and they place interns throughout the different regions doing work exclusively with the parks. So yeah, it's a great program, and it's very helpful.
Okay, so it's fantastic. Get all those volunteers out there helping on I Love My Park Day, mostly local folks, and then also some Student Conservation Association, Excelsior Corps, and New York Park Corps interns that are working in the parks doing a lot of neat stuff. Once again, this is Walk in the Park, and you can see all our episodes at walkinthepark.tv on Pegasus Public Access Television, Ithaca, New York, and a cable television service. So working in the park, to get ready for the spring, there's a whole lot of jobs to do, but one of the most spectacular or flashy jobs is scaling, which you may have heard mentioned earlier, and that involves all of the areas above the Gorge Trail in 6 different parks actually in our region. All the cliffs above the Gorge Trails have to be cleared of rock shale that has been loosened up by freezing and thawing in the wintertime. And in the spring, so it's a big job. It starts at the beginning of April and runs into well into May, almost to the end of May. And so they're doing that right now at Robert Treman State Park. I plan next week, on the next episode 167, to feature the whole scaling business. And I've got quite a bit of footage and interviews and so forth at Robert Treman State Park. So that should be interesting. So this is Rachel, one of the scalers, and she is on the big cliff above the Gorge Trail next to 115-foot high Lucifer Falls. So that was a very exciting location. But there are many other things that go on to get a park open. You got to get the campgrounds open, get the water going, get the grounds going, the swimming area, the picnic areas, all the different things that go on to get clean up after the winter and so forth. And as you know, the weather can cause a lot of problems. This was a very rainy Saturday, and this is the walkway from the parking area that's near the swimming area. We had to walk across to go to the pavilion, which would be on the other side of the right and out of view for all the volunteers. Well, the creek got so high that we had to close that, and we couldn't get back out that way. In fact, some cars had to come in a different route. This is Enfield Creek, the other side of the Fordway, it's called, which was just roaring that day. This is the Fordway, they call it, where you drive through to get to the campground, which, by the way, there's going to be replaced. There's going to be a bridge built here sometime in the not too distant future. So look forward to that. You'll be able to drive across without getting your car wet or having the road closed, actually, because of the weather. So the other place that we went, we had to go up to the to cross, was up by the swimming area. This is actually beyond the bridge, but I'll show you that in a second. I've got a short video of, this is the swimming area. That's the falls, the lower falls, the swimming area. So let's take a look at what that's like. Enfield Creek is swollen and nearly flooding. So we'll look at this little video. So that was a comparison with this past weekend and this past year when there was hardly any water on the falls. So we're pretty wet now, we're pretty soaked, but we were very dried out last year. So after I Love My Park Day, I said, gee, I've got to go over and take a look at Buttermilk Falls and see what's going on over there. That's got to be pretty full. So I went later in the afternoon, I went up to the upper gorge and walked into there to get some footage, and then I went down to the lower park and the main Buttermilk Falls. So let's take a look at that one. So that was obviously from my Park Minute series, which you can also see on my website and walkinthepark.tv, but I also show it here in public access. Channel 13, Ithaca, New York. So now we're going to pop over to Watkins Glen. I went over there actually May 5th, the day before I Love My Park Day, last Friday, and to take a look at the trails, which had just opened. There's a lot of water in them. So we're going to look at another little video of a series I call Park News, tell you about what's going on in the park there. I won't be able to show the whole thing because we'll run out of time, but I'll show most of it. At the end of it, there'll be an explanation. The second half of it is an explanation of changes that are going to be happening in the park, and that's what I'll have to abbreviate. And the audio on that part's not so good either. So, but anyway, we'll see what we can get out of it. I'm Tony Ingram of Walk in the Park, and this is another edition of Park News, and I'm at Watkins Glen State Park, and today is May 5th, 2017, and they've just opened the Gorge Trail. The scalers, the people who, employees that knock off the winter loosened rock off the cliffs, have finished their job in this park, and it's a big one. It takes several weeks to do. Knock rock off the cliffs that it was loosened by the winter frost and get it off the cliffs above the Gorge Trail. That job was just completed this week, and the Gorge Trail is open. However, you cannot get access to the Gorge Trail via the main entrance, the usual main entrance, because there is a big construction project going on there. In fact, a lot of people that have come by the park and the main entrance down there see all this construction going on, and they think the park is going to be closed for the season, and that's not true at all. Actually, it's just that this is a big improvement project going on in the main entrance, and it'll be complete in another year, I'm told. And so you have to access the park. You get access to the Gorge Trail from the south entrance, from the south side of the park. You drive up the road, up the hill to the south entrance where the swimming pool is and so forth. You can look on the map and so forth. You can find that. And then get into the gorge, you can see the entire Gorge Trail. They do plan to put a pathway through the construction area a little bit later this season, so that when the season really gets going, so that you can get into the gorge from the main entrance. Parking that used to be in the main entrance will now be all across the street on a parking lot they have created over there. So the main entrance will be tremendously improved. And I have a little video that I'll show you of a video clip from a presentation by environmental educator Josh Teeter, Finger Lake State Park's environmental educator Josh Teeter, that he made to a group this winter that'll explain some of the things that they've got going on now for us. So camping is going to open, I think on the, let's see, this is the 5th, so another week, so that will be the 12th. Camping will open on the 12th, and then a couple of weeks later, I think, is when they'll take reservations. Right now it's a walk-in, as they say. People just show up and get a site, but you can't reserve until later in the month. That's pretty much it. Yeah, the park is open. Lots of water on the in the gorge right now. We had a lot of heavy rain this morning, last night. Okay, this is Tony Ingram for Park News, walkinthepark.tv. Go to my website, walkinthepark.tv. You can see all of my TV shows on public access television in Ithaca, but you can see it all online, Walk in the Park. So thank you very much for listening. Well, it looks like I lost the audio on that last part there. So we'll go to, we'll take a look at some, well, there's a lot of changes there that I had some pictures of her being explained by Josh Teeter, but for some reason the audio didn't come through in that clip. So I'm going to go to the next video, which we may have enough, we'll have enough time to look at that, showing some of the high water that was in the gorge last Friday. So stand by with that for a second here. And that was on Friday before we had the heavy rain on Saturday, which did the near flooding in Buttermilk Falls and in Enfield Creek at Treman State Park. So people that went over to Watkins Glen on Saturday saw even more water. Well, that's all we have time for today, so thanks for joining me. And check in again with my next episode, 167, and we'll be showing you a lot about the scaling of the cliffs in the Finger Lake State Park, particularly Robert H. Treman State Park. Okay, we'll close it off now here.